feel that dating outside of my race or culture in any way affects my self-love and my root.
Whenever a police officer gets behind me and drives 60 miles an hour and won't move from behind me, it scares me.
You have nothing. You're so rich and wealthy that you can just buy everything and you're still not anything on the
When
inside.
is the right time for a woman to expect a man to put that money or spend that money on her?
Black men are so disconnected emotionally with women because they're taught not to connect with their feelings as a little boy.
Thank you for joining into Black Coffee, where our topics are hot, our opinions are strong, and our purpose is to wake your ass up. I'm Reginald Choice.
I'm Melanie Howard.
And I'm Tiffany Simple.
I'm Rolando Roy.
I'm Candace Demessa.
Alrighty, and today, guys, we are going to be talking about Black materialism. Is it ruining us as a culture? Do we feel...
I absolutely agree that it is ruining us. When you have kids and young adults that feel they have to wear a certain label in order to be accepted or to feel official or validated, I think that it puts pressure on parents who can't afford these things. Kids are going to school, seeing the latest trend in shoes or whatnot, and it can ultimately result in them choosing a different way of life to get those things, and us not validating our kids in being enough. They have to have this and that and wear this and that in order to feel like they are enough. Absolutely, it's wrong.
I think in a capitalist culture that we live in, I mean, America's based on consumerism. We're not a production-based society. We consume. And I think for many of us, like, who are Black, and as a culture in general, and this is, of course, a broad over generalization, because many of us did not grow up in houses that were all about consuming, but when you're talking about we're not equally included in the American system, now how much I can spend is my way of trying to buy my way into inclusion, feeling like I'm a part of what America is because I have access to an iPhone and $200 tennis shoes. So for a segment of society, this is their proof of I am part of the system. And then for the rest of us, you know, I mean, I like shit too, though.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I don't think this is a matter of not liking it. I feel like what the issue comes into play when you can't afford it.
And then you try to purchase it
Exactly.
anyways. I mean, people go broke trying to look good.
Right.
I think it's pointless. They get wrapped up in credit and bad credit, don't know how to handle finances, and then want things like houses and cars. One thing I'm tired of seeing is Black people who don't have a house, don't own nothing, but you pushing a Porsche, a Bentley, whatever it is, you pushing this high fancy car that you can barely afford to pay for. It is twice the rent that you pay at your little B apartment on the south side of town. Like, straight up, like, you're pushing something that doesn't even represent your finances.
Hello.
Like, be humble, be frugal. There's nothing wrong with being frugal.
But we are not taught as a society to be frugal. We are not taught to manage our money.
No, we're not.
I wasn't but 25 when I read my first financial statement. I was 25 when I realized what the hell a financial statement was, what my expenses were, what my expenditures were, and things like that. Like, I didn't know anything about that. It's just something that's not taught in the African American household.
It's not taught in schools, period. Therefore, kids aren't growing up with the economic understanding that investing your money is how you become rich, because the rich people don't have expensive things. And if they do have expensive things, they can afford that and some, right? And then there's this competition. Well, the thing about getting rich is you're always in competition with somebody else who's rich. And the richer you are, the more you value things. And it's just like, you forget morals. You forget sense of self. I mean, you have nothing. You're so rich and wealthy that you can just buy everything, and you're still not anything on the inside.
Rich and wealthy. You can be, Black people are, many of us are rich. I say us, but I didn't mean that. Holla at me, I got a PayPal. But rich can be spent easily. wealth
That's right.
has taken generations,
Generations.
not years, generations to accumulate. The wealth of white America, black people will not get from just investing your money. They have had a 100-year
leave something.
economic advantage on top of us.
Right.
And I think we kind of give ourselves like this unnecessary pressure by being like, you can accumulate wealth. Listen, Jay-Z, Beyonce, that ain't even wealth.
Right.
Wealth is the fact that these 4 families own like 80% of the people have families can own whole countries. That's a wealth that
General
we
Mills.
won't have and we don't have. And I think
not
until we
valuable.
start to look at the larger system of capitalism in general, we'll continue being like, oh, you need to do this and hustle and stretch and scrape. While meanwhile, these wealthy families, they're not hustling and scraping
Yeah.
and nickel
No.
and diming and investing. They don't need to.
They're passing it down.
Because they're knowledgeable. I was actually speaking about this with Rolando earlier, is if you know something as simple, and it's not that simple, but if you can study up on your taxes and understand at the end of the year, you can write a lot of things off, and during the year you can do a bunch of tiny things that will help you at the end of the year.
Right.
Dude, if you own a corporation, you can spend all of that money and then pay taxes on whatever's left over. But Black people don't know that, or people just don't know that. But the wealthy, the knowledgeable, those people know those things, and they just share them with their own families.
You
But
know what's so
wealthy
funny?
people also, listen, when you have wealth, you don't even need to use your money. That's the
true.
thing.
Yep.
That's very
Celebrities
true.
have all the
Yep.
money and
That's
don't even
right.
have to buy the things that they have.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
don't
it's
teach our kids
given
about
to them.
credit
And we
either.
want
Given
to
to
follow,
them.
it is given to them because
Yeah.
wealth brings you
That's right.
more. And that's
Right.
what we need to realize in
Hey,
in
I
trying
need you to market my stuff. Will you wear my, Versace
It's
dress?
it's a much more collaborative thing, but on behalf of the Black hippies out there, I feel you. I'm one of you. Also, let me not make it like all Black people are so materialistic because, to be honest, in my experience, the Black people I know, we're like, look, we'll pitch a tent. We're going to backpack. We're going to stay in this $5 hostel.
Yes.
And materialism is not even a part of our life. We're like, shower. I mean, I shower.
Sure, she does.
She doesn't shower.
Sometimes. Today was a good day. I tried to clean up for you guys. But, there is another aspect of Black people that is not consumer obsessed. That's very much about
There is.
experience.
There is,
Rich
but
and-
there's
rich
a
and
huge
experience.
there's a huge pool of us that are still feeling stuck is a great word. It still need to feel validated by labels.
What you
People
have,
they
how
don't
you
even
look.
know you, don't even care to know you. You can't sit at the table with them.
Right.
And yet you are supporting them and going broke trying to impress people that don't give two damns about
But
you.
here, I want to say from our own community, expecting black excellence is everywhere, but some people expect black excellence in the form of materialism. I had a coach that or a mentor, shall I say, that told me straight up that I had to fix my wardrobe. Didn't teach me how to go and get it financially savvy. And so then when I went to go get it, she goes, "What you doing? You can't afford that. But you told me I need to change my look. You told me I need to dress up. You told me but you didn't tell me how to do it." And so when I went and did something that you think was not in my finances, you have the nerve to tell me you can't afford that. What you want me to do?
Thrift store, hello.
Holla at me.
I mean,
that's right.
I'm just saying I was young at this time, so I didn't know what I was doing with my money. I just wanted to do what was being mentored to me.
Yeah, I think a lot of the underlying issue is since we got off of the boat as descendants of slaves, I think we touched on this earlier. It even still today, a lot of things that we see people have, whether it's television or across town, they really don't seem attainable. There are a lot of us that really don't see ourselves being here on earth in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So you look to create experiences by having things on, by impressing, and by impressing you sometimes to other materialistic people, you create a good time. You create a great image of yourself. And until we show people that you may be here for a while and we should act like it, but there's so many of us that we see the world being so small, and we do what we can.
Absolutely, and we there is the group of people out there that believe that the world is always ending, and so like you're saying, if you are constantly believing that the world is always ending, why even prepare for the future? Right? I think we need the Black successful people to come back to the community to share their knowledge in order to motivate or to educate. To give knowledge, you've got to give back to your community, give knowledge back to the common folk. Thank you for tuning in to Black Coffee. Have yourself a cup.